What's up guys, Visual here, but you can call me James, and in this video I'm going to be showing you guys how you can make a YouTube avatar just like the one on screen right now. It's caught in the crossfire. It's caught in the crossfire. So the first step to make this YouTube avatar is to go ahead and click on the description down below, open up the add file link, and you will see a media file link after you skip the ad, and on the media file link just download it and it will download this pack for you, the YouTube avatar tutorial. And once it's opened, just hide the main image where it says close with the eyeball icon, then open up where it says content. So as you can see right here, you have the layer style I have used, you can change the color of that soon, the font that I have used, and also the background. So first of all, the background, you're going to want to head and drag that in to your canvas. If you don't know the size for a YouTube avatar, just go to File, New, change the width to 800 and the height to 800, and bump the resolution up to anywhere between 100 and 200. So once you've done that, just hit OK, make sure the color mode is on RGB, and hit OK like I said before. And now you can drag and drop the background image. So just drag it in to the canvas, place it anywhere you want. So make sure you get part of these particles. So I'm just going to put it, let's say, over here. That looks good. And if it's not covering the whole size, or you want to make it smaller, just press Ctrl- to zoom out, and then press Ctrl-T. You may need to press Ctrl- again, and you can make this a little bit smaller so you can see more on the actual logo itself. I'm going to leave it at that, and then we'll hit enter once you have done that. And then you can zoom back in with Ctrl+. So it doesn't actually matter if it's a little bit low quality, the image, if it does appear low quality on your computer, the logo will be really zoomed out. So it will be, say, zoomed out like this much, so you can barely really see the low quality pixelization. So don't really worry about that. But the first thing we're going to do is add a hue and saturation to the background image, so we can change the color to whatever we want. So go down to the bottom, but before you actually do that, just click on the lock and make sure your layer here is black. If it's not already, just copy what I'm doing, just color overlay it and make sure it's black. And once you've done that, you can then continue. So go back to the hue and saturation bit down here, click hue and saturation, and as you can see, the hue slider will affect, if we put it above where the background is, it will affect the actual color of this background. So I'm going to actually choose a sort of green here, just so I can, I was going to choose pink, but I used pink before, so I just want to show you guys how to do it with another color. So I'm on +100 hue, don't mess around with the saturation and lightness, you can leave that as it is, and then just hit the X and make sure that is enabled if it isn't already. So the first step we're going to do is add some lighting to this background. So we're going to select a new layer, we're going to go to the brush tool, and make sure you have a 0 hardness brush with a brush size of around about 500, and make sure the color, the foreground color, is on black. So once you've done that, you can then zoom out a little bit and just get the edges with that black color, and then lower down the opacity to, let's say, 15%. That looks good. And then make a brand new layer once again, and now we can continue with the actual text and things like that. So one other thing which you can do if you wish is make a new layer, select the same sort of green as you are using or whatever color, and then just dab these little bits around the actual logo itself, and then you can maybe put it on soft light screen. It's completely up to you. Sometimes it looks good, sometimes it doesn't, so I'm going to put it on, but we're going to lower it down to, let's say, 7%. So the next thing we need to do, as you guys can see, is the text. So I will include the font link in the description down below. It's called if I can, yeah, it's called Roboto Black, the italic version. So I will leave a link to that in the description. It will be a DAF font link, probably shortened with AdFly or Google, but yeah, click that link and it will, you can download it. If you don't know how to download a font, I might do a tutorial on it in the future, but I will, you can go ahead and search for one on YouTube anyway. So to actually get the text on this, all you have to do is go to the text tool, select anywhere, and then now you can type in the text you want. So I'm going to type in visual, and make sure you have that font selected, Roboto Black on italic, and then if you need to make it any bigger, just go up to the top right there and you can increase the size or decrease it to however you want. So let's make sure that is centered. So yeah, that's centered right there. and now we can continue with actually adding the layer style. So in order to add the layer style, it's really simple. Just go over back to the pack, double click on the layer style where it will open up the blending options page, select new style, and then you can actually name this style. So we're going to name it, let's say tutorial, just for the sake of the tutorial obviously, and then hit OK and OK once again, and that will be saved into your styles. I have tons of styles, so it may lag a little bit. So now what we can do, go back on this, double click on the text over there, go to styles, and then scroll all the way down. It should be at the bottom. You will see the styles. So say for instance you're not using pink like I am right here, just go to the gradient and you can now change the color. So as you can see here, the lighter pink goes towards this end on the left and the darker pink goes towards the right. So we're going to click on this side and we're going to select a green, and we're going to select a really bright green for that one. So we're going to select that as the hex code, and for the other side we're going to get the same green just so we know where we're at. Let's select the same green. I don't know why it won't let us right now. We're going to select that same green over here, and we're just going to lower this down so it's a little bit darker towards this side, as you can see at the top. Hit OK and OK once again, and as you can see, that's how we change the color of it. You can go ahead and just add a hue and saturation on it, but this will give it a better effect. So one other thing you can do, you may like the look of this, just go below the text, make a brand new layer, and go to the brush tool once again and just decrease the size of this to say 200, and then just add a black brush just around this part of the text, and then lower down the opacity, and as you can see it sort of gives a black drop shadow, but it makes that part of the banner just stand out a little bit more. So maybe I will put that on, but I'm going to lower it down to, let's say, 20%. So yeah, it's looking good so far. There are a couple little things that we are going to add though. If you look at the main image, we've got a couple things added at the top. So one thing we are going to do is make a brand new layer once again. Go to the brush tool and increase the size to, let's say, 700. That may need to be increased even more. No, 700 looks good. And then just make sure that the foreground color once again is full white. So hit OK and OK again, and then just hit the brush tool in the top middle part of the logo, and then as you can see it will give this a white lighting effect, and then just lower down the opacity of this to let's say 25%. I'm going to do 25%, and you can actually do this in random parts of the logo if you wish. As you can see here, it just gives it a bit of a lighter feel. I'm going to actually add a soft light one here and just lower that down. So that's looking good so far. One effect we are going to add, in order to do this, we just have to hold down shift on the top layer, scroll down, hold shift on the bottom layer, and then press that little group icon at the bottom, and you can name your group if you wish, but I'm just going to press Ctrl J on the group and then Ctrl E to merge that just to one single layer. And then once you've done that, you can hide down the group and then just press Ctrl J once again to duplicate that. So the first thing we are going to do is go to filter, blur, and then Gaussian blur, and we're going to set the Gaussian blur to, let's say, 4. And now what you do is you head over to the eraser tool, make the size of this to, let's say, 300. That looks good, and then just erase the text and parts of the logo that you would like to see a little bit more. And as you can see, if we hide it, it gives a little blur on the edges and things you haven't erased. So I'm going to select that and I'm going to lower down the opacity to 70%, and then to merge these layers we're just going to press Control on this one, Control on that one, and then Control E once again. So the next thing that we are going to do now is press Ctrl J again, go to filter, select other, high pass, and then press do it at, let's say, 9. That looks good, and then hit OK. And now you want to go to the blending options and select overlay, and as you can see it makes the logo stand out a whole lot more. You can lower this down to however you want, but I'm going to lower it down to, let's say, 90%. That looks good. And now we can press Control on this, Control on this, and we can merge them once again. So one more thing you can do is press Ctrl J, go to filter, filter gallery, and then select the glowing edges, hit OK again, and then select this on overlay, and then lower down the opacity of this You may like this, you may not. As you can see, it gives a bit of a darker effect if we lower this down. This is without it, this is with it. So I'm going to go with it, but only on 15%. And then once again, I'm going to click Control on this one, Control on this one, Control E to merge them both. And now, as you can see, this logo is pretty much done. The only thing we're going to go ahead and do right now is go to File, Export, Save for Web, and we're going to save it as a PNG 24 just so we get that high quality. And yeah, once you guys have done that, you will have your logo complete. You can go ahead and upload it to YouTube, but if you do, like I always say, if you do have any problems, please be sure to put them in the comments down below and I'll help you guys out as soon as possible. But anyways guys, like I said before, hope you guys have enjoyed the video. This has been Visual or James, and I'm out. Peace.
No, they want me dead or alive. They want me dead or alive. I'm just trying to survive.